Hey, some Tour de France news. Now, I don't do a lot of cycling videos, but Egan Benal has pulled out the Tour de France. Now, he was the pre-Tour favourite. He's the defending champion. He wins last year. Surprise victory in some circles. He wasn't expected to win. Geraint Thomas was expected to defend his title because of the dominance, obviously, of Team Sky for a decade. That dominance has been shattered in this Tour de France. So there could be some mitigating circumstances. Obviously, with the shutdown in the UCI, obviously having to suspend all cycle races during the height of the pandemic. Obviously, riders were having to train individually by themselves. Depending where you were in the world, you had to abide by the lockdown restrictions. So they're obviously independently training. Geraint Thomas and Chris Froome really aren't setting the world on fire at the Dauphiné, Paris-Nice, those kind of warm-up events for the Tour de France that take place before the Tour takes place. When cycling resumes, when the UCI gets the green light, they are not selected for the Tour de France squad. Geraint Thomas and Froome are selected for the Vuelta and the Giro, and Chris Froome is actually now on the way out of Team Ineos, formerly Team Sky. He's going to Israel Startup Nation, which is actually another big budget team that's burst onto the scene, some new sponsors, and they're putting together a pretty strong team. They've been involved in a lot of breakaways in the Tour de France. They've got some good individual one-day riders in there. Froome's moving on. Geraint Thomas not selected either. Form questionable. And in fact, Team Ineos going into this Tour de France weren't setting the world alight. They looked vulnerable, and they have been. Then you look at Benal. It's the last couple of stages, having obviously watched over the weekend, watched yesterday after the rest, not impressed with the attitude of the rider. Even on bad days, like Thibaut Pinot, he's having a shocking Tour de France by his standards. He's still putting effort in every day. He's just not on the pace for whatever reason, be it mindset, fitness, preparation. He's not quite right, but he's still plugging away daily. He's still giving it a go. Alaphilippe has won a stage, has worn yellow, but I think he's hit his limit. He's not quite right. General classification, early on, he's dropped back, still trying. He's still in breakaways. Yates, he had a few tough days, lost yellow, still trying. Pogacar and Roglic look pretty strong. Guillaume Martin, he's dropped back a little bit in GC, but he's still willing to give it a go. Benal was up in GC. He was in the top couple, chasing down Yates when he was wearing yellow, chasing down Roglic when he got yellow. Young Jersey classification at the middle of last week, loses focus, loses, just gives up. The attitude tells you something. The body language tells you something, that something's not right. Now, he drops back to the team car yesterday when he's dropped, picks up a Musette bag, which is fine. He's got teammates around him. His teammates leave him behind. His teammates just carry on up the road. He loses his domestics. Obviously, the word's gone out. I'm just going to cycle the stage. I know I'm going to lose time. I'm not in the gruppetto of sprinters at the back. I'm just gonna carry on. When your domestics leave you behind, you know something's not right. But he goes back to the team car, picks up some water bottles, picks up some food, gives them to his teammates. They leave him behind. That is a sign things aren't right. But then you look at their preparation going into it. Thomas and Froome didn't really set the world alight going into the Tour. They were omitted from this year's Tour de France squad. Big surprise there, considering that when Team Sky was set up, they said we're going to set up a core of British riders. It's going to be a British-based team with some overseas riders. The big-name British riders are omitted from the team. So there is clearly a shift in thinking in the team structure and build-up. The team leaders, the actual team leaders, the experienced riders, two experienced riders, not there. They've been dominating figures in the team for the best part of a decade. One's on the way out in Froome. He's going to Israel Startup Nation. Geraint Thomas is focusing on, I think, the Giro this year. So more pressure's heaped on Benal. So questions have to be asked about the structure of the team going into the Tour. Even if Froome and Thomas aren't quite on their best form, they could be used as super domestics to defend Benal's title. And if Benal falters and they're actually doing better in GC, the push can be behind them. So two key leaders of the team, experienced riders, aren't there. A lot of pressure on him. So you can ask questions about their preparation and all sorts. But yeah, really surprised. You would think that actually him dropping back would actually liberate the team to go for breakaways, go for stage wins. They're not in the general classification fight. They can go for teams classification. I think him pulling the plug and going, says there's bigger things at play within Team Ineos, more than just a rider having a bad tour. Him literally giving up and going, I'm not interested anymore, says there's some worrying trends at Team Ineos. Could their era of dominance be ending? Because since their first Tour win, they've only failed to win the Tour once, and that was when Vincenzo Nibali wins the Tour after Froome has a crash. Only once have they failed to win the Tour since Wiggins' Tour win in 2012. So you have to think of it and go, hang on a second. They've been so dominant for the last 8 years. Only one Tour de France win that's gone to another team in Astana. Something's going on here because Benal hasn't crashed out. He's just withdrawn after a tough day in the mountains. So there are questions to be asked about what's going on with the team. That will come out in the fullness of time, no doubt. But they have heaped a lot of pressure on a young 23-year-old, which I think is unfair as well. I think they could have dealt with having possibly Geraint Thomas or Froome just there, just to look after him. And they haven't really done that. And when your teammates leave you behind, when the peloton disintegrates, that's not a good sign of team unity either. But there you go, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.